Hiya guys, welcome back to Wentworth Life, the YouTube channel that talks everything Wentworth. If you're new to the channel, then hit that subscribe button right now for all future updates. And as usual, if you stick around until the end of the video, I will be responding to some of your comments from some of my previous videos. So, keeping in with the current video theme that I've been doing recently, in this video, we are now going to be looking at the top 10 moments from Season 6. So let's jump straight in. Coming in at number 10, we have Sonia kills Sharon. Now, Season 6 was brutal, and after 2 seasons, we finally got to see how much of a psychopath Sonia Stevens really is. Sonia wanted Liz dead, not only because Liz poisoned her with liquid nicotine at the end of Season 5, but also because Sonia wanted Liz dead because she just had enough of her. Sonia had previously set Liz up to become Witness X, thinking that she would be the perfect candidate to fall apart in court when Sonia's court case arrived, which went ahead to plan. But things started to get messy after Liz fell for Don Kaplan and wasn't keeping her mouth shut, and she was just digging around in dangerous territory and basically pissing Sonia off. So after toying with Liz for a while, Sonia decides it's time to strike, and in a harrowing scene, Sonia overhears Liz telling the women that she is off to take a shower, and Sonia follows. So in a tense scene, Sonia sees Liz, or at least she thinks she can see Liz in the shower, and ends up pouncing on her, stabbing her to death over and over again. Unfortunately though, Sonia killed the wrong person. We later learned that the person who was in the shower cubicle was actually Sharon Gilmore, another inmate who had similar blonde hair as Liz. Oops-a-daisy, Sonia. Coming in at number 9, Frankie Is Shot. So, the first few episodes of Season 6 featured Frankie on the run. She had escaped Wentworth at the end of Season 5, and she was trying to clear her name of the murder of Mike Panisi. Things took a very scary turn in episode 2 though, when she set up a meeting with Iman's counsellor Zoe Taylor, trying to get some information that Iman might have passed on to her. Unfortunately for Frankie, Zoe had pressed a secret panic button and the police were on their way. So Frankie makes a run for it, but the police are starting to surround her in the street. Frankie then tries to climb over a fence in order to escape, but she ends up being surrounded with all the police armed and aiming right at Frankie. They give her a chance to stop, but Frankie takes the chance and tries to make a jump from the fence, but the police fire at her and they shoot her off the fence in the shoulder, causing Frankie to tumble down over a hill and disappear. And now I can remember when this first happened and just about everyone was screaming at the TV. Frankie is such a favourite with all the fans, but of course, after Bee's death at the end of Season 4, we all knew that no character is safe in this show, and all of us were so worried that this was going to be the end for Frankie. Flying in at number 8, we have Kaz Vs Mari in the laundry. So, Mari Winter arrived in this season, and we all heard the stories about how dangerous that she can be, and how Kaz literally hated her. So, after Kaz heard a conversation between Mari and Drago about basically shutting Liz up, Kaz decided to poison Mari by fiddling with the heroin and causing Mari to collapse. Mari ended up surviving, and Ali ended up telling Mari that it was Kaz who poisoned her. So later on, when Mari finds out that there is no chance of her getting out of the prison anytime soon, she completely loses it, and she decides to take it out on Kaz. Armed with a shiv, Mari runs into the laundry and challenges Kaz. The Red Right Hand crew end up giving Kaz a shiv and the fight is on. They both go at each other in the laundry and the hatred between these two is oozing out of the both of them. They end up slicing each other before Ali ends up pushing the panic button and stopping the fight, which is really annoying because the fight was just getting good, wasn't it, guys? I literally thought we were going to get a really good old-fashioned fight, just like the one we had way back in Season 2 with Frankie and Bee. never mind. Coming in at number 7, we have Liz is ambushed. Now, this wasn't a very nice scene to watch at all. I mean, we all loved Liz, and poor Liz, she was starting to lose her mind, and at this point, she was thinking that she might have dementia. Sonia decides to set Liz up during a radio station broadcast, and she ends up outing Liz as witness X to the whole of the prison. Now, of course, as we all know, the women hate laggers, especially ones who lag or work with the cops. So, after the broadcast, Sonia takes Liz on a little walk and walks her into the yard before throwing Liz to an angry mob of prisoners. Kaz and the girls, they're looking for Liz but they can't find her. Meanwhile, Liz is being thrown around and thrown to the ground, and the baying mob start throwing mud at Liz. Now, bear in mind, poor Liz is an emotional mess at this point, and she's not very well with dementia. So it was a really hard scene to watch, but Kaz and the girls, they managed to save Liz from the ambush and take her back inside. And I think the only good thing to come out of this was the fact that Kaz had agreed to really protect Liz, take her under her wing going forward, and I really loved the bond that Kaz and Liz had after this scene. Okay, coming in at number 6, we have Channing kills Murphy. So, in the final episode of season 6, it was revealed that the person who had been stalking Vera was Officer Murphy. Now, Officer Murphy had been set up by Vera back in season 5 to take the fall of what happened with B. Smith. Now, it's safe to say I would be pissed off if it happened to me, but I don't think Wentworth actually missed Officer Murphy, as she was a terrible officer. Anyway, when Murphy finally revealed herself to Vera, Murphy wanted money, and Vera ended up reluctantly agreeing. So later on, when it comes to the exchange, Vera tells Murphy to basically factory reset the phone before she hands over the money. But then suddenly, Murphy is shot right through the head in front of Vera, instantly killing her. Channing comes running and cheering that he finally killed Ferguson, he finally got the bitch. But he ends up realising that he shot the wrong person. Whoops! Channing then, he did later on go to prison for the murder of Officer Murphy, but I wonder if he will actually make a reappearance in the final chapter next year. At the halfway mark now at number 5, we have Frankies Goodbye. Now, I don't know what it is, but I don't cry that easy in movies or TV shows, but when Wentworth delivers an emotional scene, whether if it's a tragedy or a happy ending, it always gets me going. And this scene really did get me bawling my eyes out, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one. It was finally proven that Frankie didn't kill Mike Panisi, and all charges were finally dropped. And she was basically now a free woman. And in an emotional scene, Frankie went back to Wentworth to say goodbye to her friends Boomer, Liz and Ali, with some added emotional music playing in the background just to really get you going. It was a lush scene, and it was lovely to finally see someone get a happy ending for a change. See guys, not all of Wentworth is doom and gloom. At number 4, we have Welcome to Country. Now, this was a great scene. We finally got to see Rita Connors in action and what she's capable of. So Costa and her crew decided to set Rita up by getting her alone and basically trying to take her out. And the reason for this was Costa and the crew wanted to get to Mari Winter, but Mari had hired Rita as her bodyguard. So in a brilliant scene in the dining room, Rita is surrounded by Costa and the girls, and Rita ends up delivering a brilliant line, telling the women, "Let me welcome you to country," and then starts smashing the women to pieces. I mean, Rita takes them all on and doesn't even take a blow from any of them. I mean, she delivers some great punches, and she has all the women on the floor by the time Miss Miles arrives on scene. Rita is literally like the Terminator, and this was just such a brilliant scene, I've got to say. It's one of my all-time favourites. And I know for a fact we're all hoping for an epic showdown between Rita and Ferguson in the final chapter next year, which will be the mother of all fights, the showdown to end all showdowns. And now at number 3, we have Back to the Graveside. So This was the moment we were all waiting for in Season 6. Will had buried Ferguson alive at the end of Season 5, but he was being haunted by Ferguson in his dreams. So he started turning to drugs to try and keep him awake, but this was sending him even more and more round the bend. And then Vera was starting to get stalked by someone and was being left black leather gloves in her home. So when Vera tells Will that Ferguson is stalking her, he starts to cave and he tells her it can't be Ferguson because I killed her. But towards the end of this episode, Vera then asks Will and Jake how do they know that she didn't manage to dig her way out of that grave. So the three of them go back to the graveside and start digging to check. It's a haunting, dark scene, and it's not something I would have thought that we would have got to see Vera mixed up in. And when Will hits the box with his spade, the moment has arrived. He gets down on his knees, he brushes the dirt, and in a tense moment, he rips open that box, which reveals a dead body in the box. And it's quite a gruesome scene as the body is decomposed, but of course we learn much later on that this dead body isn't Ferguson, but it's still a great memorable scene. And coming in at number 2, we have Sonia is pushed off the roof. Now, this whole episode was such a good episode. It was Sonia's final downfall and final act. Love her or hate her, Sonia was a great character who is still missed to this day. Sonia had been found out by the police that she had killed Sharon Gilmore, meaning that Sonia was now looking at spending her final years in prison, and she weren't happy. She was really pissed off. She goes on the hunt for Liz, but Liz ends up on the roof, and Sonia follows her. So in a dramatic scene, Sonia creeps up behind Liz and tries to cave Liz's head in with a big builder's wrench. Liz manages to duck just in time, and the pair of them start to struggle. Sonia then starts to throw some blows at Liz, but luckily Kaz works out what's happening and saves the day. So Kaz manages to stop Sonia, but Sonia literally just looks completely, literally psychotic at this stage. And Sonia tells Kaz that Liz is hers and she cannot protect her forever. So with no sign of Sonia letting up on Liz, Kaz decides to run at Sonia and push Sonia off the roof and literally killing her to save Liz. It's a brilliant exit for a huge character, but it's just a shame that she wasn't just transferred or something for a little bit. If they needed to get rid of her just for a little while, I mean, it would have been great to see her back for the final chapter next year, but never mind, at least we did get Sonia for 3 seasons. And coming into our top spot at number 1, we have Rita kills Drago. So it was inevitable that the writers were going to have Rita have a big showdown with someone at some point. And seeing as the freak wasn't around at this stage, the next best thing was Dragovich. So Drago had learnt that it was Ruby who killed Danny Winter. So Drago decided that she was going to kill Ruby for Mari during Fight Club. But when Rita found out what was going on, Rita rushes down to Fight Club and takes Ruby's place, meaning that Drago is now fighting Rita. It was a brilliant fight scene. I think it was probably one of the biggest fight scenes we've had so far on Wentworth. I don't think anything has topped that since then. And it was just a good old-fashioned brutal fight in the boiler room. Plenty of punches, heads getting smashed into machinery, and eventually Rita snapped Drago's arm. The fight then spills out of the boiler room and into the corridor, and Rita, completely out of her mind and seeing red at this point as she's taken no prisoners, Drago continues to goad Rita, and Rita knocks Drago to the floor. Drago then tells Rita that Ruby is dead, and Rita just completely loses it and punches Drago in the head over and over again until she's dead. It was brutal and bloody, and I don't think anyone can take Rita on apart from Ferguson. And I'm praying for the biggest fight scene to happen next year in the final chapter. Please write us. Let's keep our fingers crossed for an epic Rita versus Ferguson next year. And guys, that was the top 10 moments from season 6. Do you agree with my list? Let me know in the comments box below. And let me know what was your favourite moment from the whole of season 6. You can only choose one. Let me know in the comments box below. And now, of course, you know what's coming. It's now time for some comment replies. So we have Kaza8240. Love this channel. Never been able to ask for a shout out though, as here in Scotland I was seeing Wentworth a week behind this channel's recent uploads. Maybe in the future though, lol. I have a theory. I think that when Joan was little she cut her dad with something, killing him for killing her mum. That would explain why she used to have visions of him when she was fencing, as if she was haunted by him. I'm not sure though, as he appeared older in her earlier season visions, but it never did explain where the blood on little Joan's hands came from. It could have been her off her mum as she was drowned. Well, Kaza, this is a nice big shout out for you, seeing as you've not had one before. And yes, I did mention in one of my previous videos, it wasn't really explained how little Ferguson got the blood on her hands. I'm wondering whether if it was just a case of she cut her hands at the time when she was witnessing her mother getting murdered. I'm not sure. But maybe that will be explained in the final chapter next year. Anyhow, Kaza, thank you for your comment. And we have Anthony Smith, the boomer scene killing Lizzie. So emotionally exhausting to watch and not fill up with tears, seeing the pain in Boomer's eyes. Unreal acting in my opinion. Yes, Anthony, I have to agree. It's one of the most tragic, sad scenes I think in the whole show. And I believe that Katrina, who played Boomer, found that scene very hard to film. And I think she went through to a few dark places after filming that scene. I think she has a few giggles with Celia about it now, but at the time it was really hard for her to do, and it took her a long time to get over it. So I think that's why it's such real acting in that scene. So yes, thank you for your comment, Anthony. And we have Kelly Davis. Hi boys, I just watched the last ep of Series 8, held myself back for a few days, gutted it's over, but the good thing that's come out of it is finding your channel, so I personally want to say a big thank you for all the work you put in for us Wentworth junkies. You're amazing, and it's not just because you're from Wales, I promise. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kelly, for that amazing comment. I know, I can't believe we've got a year now to wait for the final chapter. But thank you. I'm going to keep you guys entertained with top 10 videos and a few spoiler videos, hopefully. So keep your eyes out. Cheers, Kelly. And we have Mole Man. Last episode will be the freak taking Vera's baby to another country, called it. Well, that would be a awful twist and not a very satisfying ending. But you never know with Wentworth. I do think that Grace still isn't safe yet. Ferguson could still get her hands on her somehow, but yeah, I don't want to see this happen though. I don't want to see the freak winning. Freak has to pay in the final episode in some shape or form, but we'll see what happens. Thank you for your comments, and thank you all again for your comments. Keep them coming. Maybe next time one of your comments will feature in one of my future videos. So if you enjoyed that, then don't worry, I have another top 10 moments of the top 10 season 5 moments coming very soon, so make sure you've smashed that subscribe button. And if you guys have made it this far into the video, then thank you for sticking around. I will be back very soon, so take care guys. I will see you all next time.